your standing as we invite our keynote speaker, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency retired Brigadier Julius Maga Leone.
Thank you, Madam. Let's sit down, please. Madam Chair, Ministers, Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, Chair of the Industrial Court, Justice Sengo Koroma, members of the Diplomatic Corps, especially our friends from the People's Republic of China, colleague workers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In 1989, an international federation of socialist groups and trade unions designed the 1st of May as a day in support of workers in commemoration of the Haymarket riot, which occurred in Chicago in 1886. For those of you who are concerned with the history. And for more than a century later, May Day or International Labour Day has become an annual event around the world to demonstrate workers' solidarity, champion workers' rights, and honor workers' contribution. So today is to honor your contribution and to celebrate you for the great work that you do that makes us speak as a nation. So let me start off by wholeheartedly commending the leadership of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the Sierra Leone Labour Congress, and the Sierra Leone Employers Federation for organizing this all-important Workers' Day celebration with the theme Fairness at the Workplace. What is theme? I feel honored to be here and to be part of this celebration simply because I am too a worker. I am an employee of the government of the Republic of Sierra Leone, employee number 1. I used to be employed by this republic, but this new appointment started on the 4th of April 2018, and it is for a period of 5 years to be renewed by the people. Sadly for me as a worker, I don't have anywhere to complain about salary increment or improved conditions of service. So you are better. That's a problem. And the worst of it all, I cannot even go on strike. Today, as we mark 133 years of this historic struggle and gains made by workers and labor movements, the world of work has been severely affected by the current global economic crisis, as we all know it. According to the internationally reputed organization, the Economic Cooperation and Development, COVID-19 pandemic, and I quote, COVID-19 pandemic has triggered one of the worst job crises since the Great Depression. That is serious. There is a real danger that the crisis will increase poverty and widen inequality with the impact felt for years to come. End of quote. As the chairman of the Trade Union Employers Federation has already mentioned, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has also exacerbated the devastating effect of COVID-19 pandemic with supply chain disruption of petroleum products. I've noted some of the challenges you mentioned facing employers and businesses, such as increased inflation, high cost of foreign exchange for importation, the need to encourage commercial banks to provide bridging loans to support employers and businesses, the challenges with electricity and water supply, and supply chain challenges and increased freight charges. The chairperson in her opening remarks did say that we have taken up all the taxes, we have waived up all the taxes, but why is it that prices continue to be high for the common people? There are many variables to what is happening. We have only attended to that which is within our reach as a government, but that is not enough to cushion the effect of the global crisis on you as the ordinary citizens of this country. This is our dilemma and this is our challenge. So aside from taking off, waiving off duty, let's say off rice, sugar, and some of the other products, now the freight has increased. Foreign exchange has deteriorated. Petroleum prices have increased. So they have replaced and doubled what we took off so that we will not feel the pain of this crisis. That is why prices remain to be high. But this is also an explanation for you to know that the government is meeting on a regular basis, looking at this trend and trying to do as much as we can to make sure that we cushion the effect of these adverse conditions. As he has also acknowledged, government has proactively supported employers and businesses to weather the storm through subsidies and tax incentives and the availability of foreign exchange for importation of essential commodities. We have been doing this. And why are we doing this? To make sure that we reduce the burden on you. Elsewhere, or all around the country, the world today, these trends are beginning or have hit the people very hard. But my responsibility and that of my government is to you. And that is why we have continuously dealt with this. And that is why we engage the labor union and also the private sector to see how we can work collaboratively to reduce the effect on you. Let me assure the Trade Union Employers Federation that we will continue to cooperate with employers and businesses to address the challenges so that we can lessen the global economic impact on ordinary people. I've also listened to the Secretary General of the Trade Union Labour Congress, and many of the concerns raised affecting workers are similar to the issues raised last week when we had a chat together at the State House. In that meeting, we agreed on strengthening cooperation between government and Labour Congress on national issues, and I directed the Chief Minister to be holding quarterly engagement with the Congress. Madam Chairperson, I cannot circulate as much as I would want to circulate. And therefore, I cannot meet everybody as I used to, because my task is daunting. And even if you go to the State House, there are people who work in the State House who don't see me. Because I have to do what I have to do to make sure that this nation is moving. I had to travel. I left at about 4 o'clock this morning. I was in Grenoble just to come and be here with you this morning. And what was I doing at the weekend? It was not a picnic for me. Since Friday, I was going around chiefdom after chiefdom, meeting the people of this country in their least, some of the farthest to reach villages in this country. And I want to say to you, and you can check this fact, I have traveled the length and breadth of this country more than any president has done since independence. So if you can only imagine where I was like Tejima 4 days ago, it is unbelievable. It is so extremely difficult to go there from Koidu. But I made sure I went there. And that is what I have done by going around this country. Because the stories are different. The conditions are different. You know, what you ask for in Freetown is different from what those people ask for. And for city people like you, you can be extremely difficult. But we'll have to manage you. Because you still have the votes. However, on the issues of salaries and wages for workers, it is important to note that since 2018, when I took over the reins of government, to date, government has made 38% salary increment for teachers, 50% salary, 30% increment for teachers, 50% salary increment for the military, police, fire force, and correctional services. 50% salary increment for workers at ONS and CISU. 25% salary increment for workers at the Audit Service, Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Statistics Bureau. And 75% salary increment for university lecturers and workers. In 2019, my government also increased the minimum wage from 500,000 leones to 600,000 leones. But of course, I know workers, we always want more salary increment. That's so. But what we have done so far is to give workers hope that this is a government that cares, a government that is fair. And fairness to the workplace, for me, when I saw this thing for this meeting, I thought about it the other way. What about these workers are really fair for us, irrespective of which government is in power? I have a worker who sends indirect messages to me as head of state that will make sure he lands me in trouble. Because he does not believe belong to my own party. And for me, that was a joke. And I decided not to pay heed to that at all for 4 years until he attempted to go for my jugular. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a human being and a soldier. If you go for my jugular, I will go for a jugular. Your place is to work and produce, and not to spread it because we don't belong to the same party. Give the service to the nation. You are not serving Malabio. I have an example at the Ministry of Social Welfare. I had a gentleman, I've listened to him on 3 occasions. And because of the stereotype in this country, I concluded he was SFPT. And I inquired, I said, I want to meet this gentleman. And they said he's APC. I said, this is the APC I want to meet. He talks like a Sierra Leonean. He is true and true APC. But when he talks, he's talking for the government he's serving at this point in time. But if you are a worker, And I have to perform for you to evaluate me, vote for me. Is there not good justification to get rid of him or her? Fair. Why you should vote me in again? If somebody is an impediment, I have no reason to continue to be fair to that person. Like I cited the example of this gentleman who was, and by the way, we met, and I congratulated him before the whole crowd. I said, this is a staunch APC. But if you listen to him talk when he's talking, if you listen to him, and I called the minister said, that is how he works, even in the ministry. This is really for goodness sake. Let's make it. When we make it, it is good for everybody. So let me also say that the preparations for the establishment of the wages and compensation, the long-awaited wages and compensation commission, are at a very advanced stage. I know you have been waiting for it. I totally accept that there are disparities unacceptable in the workplace in Sierra Leone, and we have to try to bridge these gaps. But just bear with us a little further, and we should be able. Madam Chair, in the world of work, the foundation for ensuring fairness at the workplace is mainly based on the International Labour Organization conventions and recommendations. You would recall that Sierra Leone became a member of the ILO during the era of the SFP-led government immediately after independence. This lends credence to the high level of seriousness with which the government at that time treated issues of workers. I want to assure you my government will continue to act likewise and possibly even do more. It is also a fact that my government, upon assuming power in 2018, has taken steps to demonstrate our desire to promote not only the quality of workers, but also fairness at the workplace. First, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and its social partners have conducted at least 2 reviews of some of the labour laws. Therefore, for the first time, 2 significant bills have been drafted. The Labour Bill 2022. This bill will be an act to consolidate and repeal the Factories Act 1974, General Law Act 2007, Regulations of Wages and Industrial Relations Act 1971, Employers and Employed Act Cap 212 1956, Workers' Compensation Act 219, and the Trade Union Act 1944. Overseas Employment and Migration Bill 2022. This will be an act to provide for the regulation of overseas employment, to provide for the establishment of a safe and fair system of migration, to provide for the protection of the rights and welfare of migrant workers and members of their families, and to provide for other related matters. As you cited, Madam, I have had to personally deal with this. How can the government stop this? They don't even travel directly from here. They go to other countries and where they get their visas or permissions to travel. And when they go and encounter these challenges, we are now called upon to respond to these challenges. I've had a lot of conversations with the Minister of Labour on this one. And I happen to have been somewhere in Lebanon where I had to repatriate personally 50 of them, only to realize that there are 250 more left. They were being treated like slaves on the streets of Lebanon. So these are difficult matters. Second, as a country, we have also ratified ILO conventions and protocols which have attracted international recognition and admiration for Sierra Leone. On the 4th of December 2018 and 4th July 2019, respectively, my government, through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, facilitated the ratification of 10 conventions and one protocol by the House of Parliament. On the 14th of August 2020, my government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, deposited 9 instruments, 8 of which were conventions and one protocol with the Director General of the ILO. And in January 2022, 2 instruments were further submitted to the ILO. In his remark, the ILO Director General, Mr. Guy Ryder, thanked my government for such a high number of ratifications, and further went on to say, and I quote, "It is not every day that I receive the ratification by a member state of no less than 9 instruments, 8 conventions, and 1 protocol. Indeed, it is unique in my experience, and I know that this has never happened before from any country from the continent of Africa." He went on to say, "These ratifications come at a very important moment in terms of the relationship between Sierra Leone and the ILO. Third, it is also important to know that ensuring fairness at the workplace must include assurance that workers' pensions are managed and prudently and judiciously by the National Social Security and Insurance Trust, NASIT, you heard from the Director General, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, I'm pleased to announce that my government is in receipt of executive summary of the evaluation of NASIT's investment and review of related policies conducted by the PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is in fulfillment of the manifesto commitment I made in 2018 to conduct a comprehensive audit of NASIT and make it more effective and efficient. I hope the Minister of Labour and Social Security will be a highlights of the report and fully brief cabinet in the immediate future. As a government, we are also mindful that the review of the NASIT Act must be done to enhance compliance with best practices in the administration of pensions. In the administration of pensions fund for the long-term sustainability of the scheme. Fourth, fairness at the workplace should be discussed in the context of tripartite declaration of principles concerning multinational enterprises and social policy declaration. This declaration provides guidance to governments, workers and employers, organizations, and multinational enterprises in areas such as employment, training, conditions of work, life, and industrial relations. The declaration makes provision for the appointment of national appointments. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the Sierra Leone Labour Congress, the Sierra Leone Employers Federation appointed and confirmed their national appointment in July 2019, and they are trained through the sponsorship of ILO to read. In the same year. The National Focal Point promotes inclusive, responsible, and sustainable workplace practices to give effect to the principles of the end evaluation. This will result in a systematic increase in industrial disputes, by extension, a decrease in strikes with the passage of time, a situation that is continuing for increased productivity and economic growth. Fifth, ensuring fairness at the workplace must also include providing legal avenue for addressing grievances. Notwithstanding the fact that the regulation of wages and the Industrial Relations Act 1971 and its related collective bargaining agreements make provision. The Industrial and Social Security Division of the High Court has been established to hear and examine the foreign matters, labor, industrial relations, and social security, industrial disputes, employer and employee relations. Madam Chair, as a responsible government that is keen to maintain and promote workers' rights and thus ensure equity among workers at the workplaces, we have never interfered in the activities of the union, as was mentioned by my minister. Workers must enjoy the right to form associations and bargain collectively. This is why we have given trade unions the space to perform their functions, because they are the of their members and must protect the rights of their members without political compromises. Equally important, ladies and gentlemen, the International Labour Organization, ILO, has also been supporting the government in several areas with a view to promoting labour administration generally and specifically to promote fairness at the workplace. In 2021, the ILO hired a consultant to conduct a diagnostic study in order to prepare the second phase of the Decent Work Council program for Sierra Leone. The Decent Work agenda for the ILO has the following four strategic objectives. One, set and promote standards and fundamental principles and rights at work. Two, create greater opportunity for women and men to decent employment and income. Three, enhance the coverage and effectiveness of social protection for all. And fourth, to strengthen bipartisan and social dialogue. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, developing and ultimately implementing a decent work country program is too for Sierra Leone will invariably contribute to promoting fairness at the workplace, in especially the sectors that will be covered. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, ILO is one of Sierra Leone's most trusted international partners. Despite the challenges in paying our subscription as a nation, the ILO has continued to stand by us. This is why I have instructed the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the arrears for Sierra Leone's membership contribution to the ILO be paid immediately. Madam Chair, the ILO is implementing an EU-funded project titled EU Jobs for Growth program in Sierra Leone. This project is otherwise referred to as the Opportunities Salon Program. It was launched in November 2021 and it is expected to last for the period 2021 to 2025. The program aims to stimulate the creation of between 2,000 and 4,000 decent jobs in the short term by improving the climate of investment. It is envisaged that this will be achieved through enhanced access to finance and human capital development, among others. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security will be very instrumental in ensuring that the jobs are listened and there is equity in the treatment of workers at workplaces covered by the program. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me end by saying that the theme for this year's International Labour Day has created a tripartite platform for government, employers and workers to reflect on fairness as a moral value. Labor is not a commodity to be treated in the same way as goods and services or commodities. As a former Director General of the International Labour Organization, Mr. Joan Sumakia once said, and I quote, labor markets are about people, and people have a right to be treated with dignity and respect. And that is what I seek for each and every one of you, including myself here. Viva Sierra Leone Labour Congress. Viva Sierra Leone Employers Federation. Viva Madame. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from the first employer of the Republic, the first employer.
Loud?
His house vote. And we are energized. He has also heard from us. And this is what Labor Day worldwide is all about. I want to say all the information that he has passed on of what the government has been doing is very good for us. Because we know about some of them, we did not know about some of them, and we are happy that as he works as our employee, our first gentleman, he is also there for us. So let's clap for him. And he said it. He needs your votes. The bar don't talk. So clap for him. We look forward to his attendance on May Day next year. Let's clap for him. And all the members of the high table, let's give them a round of applause. And before I take my seat, I want to say I have a quarrel with the entire high table. Women will always find ways to make quarrels. And this quarrel is the fact that everybody spoke about the industrial court. They forgot to talk about the young lawyers who appear before the industrial court, before the judges, the legal aid lawyers who are always there, who have a battalion of workers behind them in the court, and aggrieved workers, and who pacify them, and who sit and wait for the judges to make sure they hear these matters. Or those in the offices nationwide, we're in 27 locations, who do the ADR. Justice Sengu Kroma was informing me that when they did the judiciary training for legal aid board staff, the judiciary called them and trained them. And part of the issues they raised is that they want to make sure industrial matters are fully heard nationwide in different locations in the country. Because you have workers of country whose rights are affected And so, on a day like this, it is not only amongst us. They sack me, they not pay me benefits. They take me, they not they pay me minimum wage. They take we all, they not give we better conditions of service. We not get medical, we not get leave, we not get full-time service. And so people come, waiting at me right, look me later. We want to appeal to the Ministry of Labor. We know we work with the labor desk. Because when you people come, we tell you, go to Ministry of Labor. Let them call the employer first. Let them talk to them. Let them see if we can settle. If we are not able to settle now, come back. When you come back, go let them work your benefits. Let them send the final court to Jesus Sengu Kromade. We get a lawyer there, we don't divide them inside the court there. Let them labor right way. We will take on a case. Some people they take their entire earnings, buy a piece of land, but trouble for them. Various claimants of that land will also attend. Some people they move up and down until they die. They don't get their benefits. Some people struggle for salary. Let's clap for our first employee. He paid salaries for Ramadan. People were trekking to the bank until some people said, hey, I don't get alert. But you don't pay me. So thank you very much, sir. So on behalf of all the workers in the country, we will always come to you. You have to complain to God. Because you are our first arbiter, our first gentleman, our be-all and end-all. So we want to thank you and we want to pray for you that you continue to do well. We see you unveil the projects. You fight for us workers. You talk to us workers. You meet with the unions. You look at their problems, the farmers union, the fishermen, the traders, the middle level income earners, all of them, they are represented here. And all of them want to rub shoulders with you. So take a simple picture. See there at Timapu's President Pio. They put it in their dining room for posterity to show themselves as important men and women. I want to close this to say, Sierra Leone is moving, and Sierra Leone is moving. Sierra Leone will not end where it is. All of us owe it to this country to make this country a better place. And I know by the grace of God, His Excellency, the President, who is now a second-time president, hopefully will go a third-time president, will make Sierra Leone a better place.
Of course.
I thank you all.
You don't know.
Shall we have Mrs. Sarah Thomas to give us the vote of thanks? Thank you very much.
You don't let her go bus cost. Go bus cost. You don't let her. Let her.